please welcome Executive Chairman, RSA Conference, Hugh Thompson.
Everybody, welcome. Welcome to RSA Conference 2024. How are you feeling? I am so excited about this week. But before we get started, one more round of applause for Matthew Broderick. Now, if you've never seen the movie War Games, do not admit that to anyone in this crowd. I just wouldn't volunteer that information. See this weekend, catch up on it. The program that we have for you this week is truly incredible. And I am so excited to just see you, to have conversations with you, to engage with you. And in fact, I was looking over the program guide this past weekend, and I would argue, of all the RSA conferences, this year is the greatest of all time. The GOAT of RSA conferences, if you will. I couldn't resist. This week, we have more than 40,000 cybersecurity professionals from all over the world. We are from more than 130 countries. Just think about that for a second, 130 countries. What's so interesting about this crowd is that you are so open and willing to share with one another. That's what this program is all about. That's what this week is all about. The theme of this year's conference is the art of possible. And it's a phrase that on the one hand is meant to inspire hope, but it also serves as a warning that we should never underestimate what is possible by our adversaries. And I can tell you, after being the program chair here at RSA Conference for 16 years now, it's hard to believe, 16 years, that what I've seen is that the difficult challenges that we face every day in cybersecurity, the things that are so hard, the problems that seem impossible, are actually possible through community. I've seen it firsthand. Community unlocks possibility. Individuals may be smart, but as a community, we are wise, and that's actually more important. People can get overwhelmed and stalled, but a community can endure and even thrive. Individuals are strong, but as a community, we are formidable. We are formidable. It's important to remember that as you're doing your jobs every day. We have such a terrific community here. In fact, this conference would not be possible without community. Every year, we issue a call for speakers out to the community, and this year, you responded with a record number of submissions from every area of cybersecurity. Everything from risk management to policy setting to vulnerability research to LLMs, which is actually in almost everything in the agenda this year, very, very big trend. Every aspect of cybersecurity is represented here this week in the program that you're going to see and experience here in San Francisco. One of the things that's always impressed me is how mission-driven many folks in cybersecurity are. They are that. It's not something that they do. That's who they are. They protect. They defend. And it's interesting to ask the question, why? Why are we built this way? So I tried to ask that question of myself, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of personal background. So I am from the beautiful island nation of the Bahamas. Wow, all right, a couple of Bahamians. That's a good portion of the population, actually, of the Bahamas. That's pretty amazing. My grandfather and his dad and his dad and his dad and his dad before him were all lighthouse keepers throughout the Bahamian Islands. Now, to give you some sense of what a lighthouse keeper does or how they operate, I need to tell you just a little bit more about the Bahamas. So if you've never been there, please go. We appreciate your tourist dollars. It's amazing, unbelievable. I'll see you at a party later and I can kind of tell you why we're better than Hawaii or any alternative. But the way that the Bahamas is laid out, it's actually a collection of more than 700 islands and keys. And they're incredibly flat. Every island is flat. There's no hills. And the space in between some of these islands is actually quite shallow. It's very difficult for a large ship, for example, especially in the 1850s when my family started to become lighthouse keepers. It's difficult for them to navigate through those islands without running aground or brushing up a piece on a sharp piece of coral. The role of the lighthouse keeper was very important. The way that they thought about their job, and I would hear these stories all the time growing up, it was a calling, it was a mission. Their view was they had to keep the lighthouse lit, and if they didn't, if it went out for even a few minutes during the night, some ship would run aground, souls would be lost. That's how they thought about it. And so their day-to-day life, every day at dusk, as it started to get dark, they walked up a gigantic winding staircase. They went up to this kerosene lamp, they lit the lamp, and then they turned a crank that started this light spinning around. What my great uncles would tell me is that, again, the way they thought about it was, I have to shine the light in the dark places. And it wasn't just about preventing a ship from running aground, it was also the readiness to respond if someone was in trouble. They watched the ocean all night. There was a small lifeboat at the base of those lighthouses. At any time, that boat was ready to go. If they saw something, if they saw somebody in trouble, someone would go down the stairs, jump in the boat, grab the oars, and start rowing. I share this with you because these are the stories that helped shape me. And I know many of you feel the same way about what you do. You are dedicated to it. You understand the importance of it. Think about what you do every day. You prevent bad things from happening. And if need be, you respond. Now, the problem with prevention is it isn't normally showered with accolades, right? You don't get somebody showing up every day with a cake and candles and some confetti and saying, geez, you prevented 17 compliance violations today. I mean, I've not had it happen to me personally, and I've not actually even heard of it happening. Sometimes you don't even know what you've prevented. And that can be very, very difficult. But what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about the things that you are telling us are on your mind this year. So as I said, every year we put out this call for speakers. This year we got thousands of submissions. And there are three big trends that stood out. Let's zoom into the first one. This one should be a note of caution to all of us. It's the term burnout. The last time we saw burnout spike was 2021. Anybody remember 2021, trying to block it out? COVID. Everybody was isolated at home. You had to pivot what you were doing. Suddenly the entire workforce was remote. You had to figure out how to do that. Move from a slogan of zero trust to maybe, oh geez, we got to make this work. It was a really stressful time for everybody, but particularly cybersecurity professionals. But what we saw is that levels of burnout actually went back down to steady state in 2022 and 2023. But what I'm here to tell you is that they are spiking again in 2024, but for a different reason. If you look at the words around these submissions, they're words like ransomware. Okay, can understand that. But there's other words. Words like liability. Words like reporting. And it's interesting, once you get into the nuances of these submissions, the tenor of them indicates that for some of the folks that are working in cyber, they're going against their natural instinct of responding to an incident, and instead first thinking about, let me document this first. Something to think about as you go through the week, and you'll find many, many sessions on these topics. The second trend will be a surprise to absolutely no one in this room. Can you guess? What do you think? AI. AI. Now, okay, we've had AI as part of the program for many years, but typically it was the application of machine learning to some very specific problems. Now it's everywhere. It's in every single sub-discipline. No matter where you go, it's there, it's present. But what's interesting about it is I think most of the submissions, and you'll see a lot of talks on each of these areas, fall into two groups. One is, can I use this stuff, particularly large language models, to make what I do better? Like, can I defend better by harnessing this power? But the second set is, well, other parts of the business are applying these technologies at an unbelievable pace, like faster than almost any other technology adoption. How do I know that I've got the right compensating controls? How do I know that this new evolving risk surface is under control? And you'll see a lot of discussion this week on this topic. The third area, it's a nuance around risk management. Obviously, risk management has been around for a long time. But what we're seeing is that when a new threat enters the ecosystem, the first year, people like to talk about it, different nuances of it, exploitations of it, and then the next year, you see some kind of framework introduced. Let's say software supply chain security, for example, a few years ago in the wake of SolarWinds. Shortly after that, you saw SBOMs get introduced. How many fans of SBOMs do we have? I know you're out there. The one guy that I saw earlier this week, I know. I see you, I see you, okay. And you know, we kind of got this false sense of security that hey, there's like something we could do about it. And then interestingly, as years go by, you get these terms, again, like software supply chain security, and they get augmented with management. And then the volume of submissions the following year goes way down. Why? Have we solved the problem? Well, actually, no. Just ask XeUtils in the case of software supply chain security. But we feel like we have because we have words like management and framework associated with it. This is often a false sense of security. So let's take a step back. And I wanted to give you some guidance on 3 things to do to get the most out of this week with the terrific people that are here at RSA Conference. Number 1, I want you to go and see a session in something that you're totally unfamiliar with, something that's completely different than your day job. This is the place to do it, and you'll be very, very happy that you did it, and you'll make all the little choices better. Number 2, meet at least 3 new people. I know that can be scary for some of the folks that are here. But only 3, that's all I'm asking. Meet 3 new people. But when you talk to them, I want you to feel the burden of curiosity. Be curious about them. Why do they do what they do? Find the why in them. And number 3 is to just be open. Just be open. Be open to people. Be open to ideas. Be open to different ways of doing things. There is incredible wisdom in this community as a community. And I'm also here to tell you that what I hope you will find this week, more than anything else, is an understanding that you are not alone. You are not like that isolated lighthouse keeper, but you do shine a light. You are a beacon in this space. Look around you. Look at each other. This is your source of strength. It is this community that can allow you to get past the hard problems. This is your community. You are part of this community. Each of you shines a light in a dark place. Without you, some ship would run aground. And if something happens, despite our best efforts, and you hit a reef, what I can tell you from experience is that there will be others in this community waiting somewhere near a rowboat with oars ready to get in the ocean and paddle your way. I hope for you that that is what you take away from this year's RSA conference. One last thing before I let you go. I want to talk about this great institution of RSA conference and the term that we often use to abbreviate it, RSAC. To me, we've always used the C to mean conference, but in fact, it's come to mean so much more. It's the content that we share. It's the connections that we make. It's the community that we have. That's what it means first and foremost. I'm so proud to be among you and part of this community. And I'm so excited for what you're going to see, who you're going to meet, and what you're going to learn this week. Enjoy RSA Conference 2024.